let's just do the whole champagne thing. Hey brewers, it's Friday. Got a little bit of an interesting one for you. A little bit sad. And we're saying goodbye to some people here today. And we're saying that we're very sad. I love you, man. I love you. And but what? We're also saying hello.
What's going on?
So bye-bye, Nico. Hello, Monty and Kevin. So we thought, you know, we'd break in these new guys by getting some weird, classic. One of these styles of beer is like 1,000 years old. I think maybe they both are. I only found out that these were two different styles of beers like last week, so I figured y'all might not know either. I stole most of this description from Allagash Brewing's website. Their VIP tour coordinator and certified Cicerone, Lindsay Bohansky, or Bohans. Anyway, I've shortened it for my lack of attention span, okay? Gose, right? Doesn't look that way. And then this one, Gueze. And both spellings are acceptable. And I don't mean goose. I don't mean cobra chicken. I mean Gueze. So Gose, Gueze, regardless of which way it's spelled. So we have, on this side, we have Gose from Collective Arts. Guava Gose. Goses tend to have a lot of adjuncts. Generally, they at least have salt and coriander. Whereas Gueze, which we don't quite have a real Gueze here. A real Gueze would be 3 batches of this lambic in 3 barrels over 3 years. So it's a minimum of 3 years to make this beer. And they're all spontaneously fermented, whereas these ones are inoculated with yeast. So Gose, it's historically German. The only thing these things really have in common is that they're both have lots of wheat in them, and they both fall under the giant blanket of sour beer. So, but other than that, they're quite different. These have been really kind of taken over by the modern style and brewed with all kinds of adjuncts, all kinds of weird flavors, whereas there's really only kind of one way to make a Gueze. And to do it really properly, just like champagne needs to be in the Champagne region of France. Well, if you want to make a proper wild fermented Gueze, Gueze, yeah, you need to be in the Bruxelles region of Belgium. Anything brewed here in North America is kind of like trying to be champagne, trying to be Gueze, which is probably why I couldn't find one locally. So we got the next best things, the non-such lambic. The other thing about Gueze is they spend their whole life until they get into the bottle and then into your face in oak barrels of some kind. This one is in a Pinot de Charente barrels. Don't know what that is, never heard of it. Bet you it's made of wood. We've got the Gueze, the Cobra Chicken Gueze. That's what when I make one, that's what I'm gonna call it. And then we got the Guava Gose. So let's go, boys. Monty, Kevin, Nico. Salut, mes amis. And just like the Alabama boss, we're gonna slam it after we have one little taste. It's very tart.
Very tart.
Has a little bit of fruitiness to it. Not as acidic as I thought, but quite acidic. Normally, I think these styles are pretty gross. So I'm coming around. Look at me learning a palate.
This is good.
Yeah, sweet. We're getting better palates. Who would have thought? Slam this, boys. Not so bad.
Not so bad at all.
I like it. We're gonna have to talk to Mark and congratulate him. Beauty buddy, Mark Borowski, non-such, killing it. I don't know any of the people from Collective Arts. All I know is that they have cool art on their cans. So now we've got the Guava Gose from Collective Arts. This also should be salted. Probably is. I think I can smell the salt on it. I mean, with the adjuncts, we talked about adjuncts. If you don't know what adjuncts are, go back in the Insta and figure that out. You f***ed up. Ooh, wow.
Oh yeah.
It's quite different from the Gueze. Mes amis. On y va. Now, like, do you think that's like a different kind of salt? Like a lemongrass salt or something like that. Like I'm almost getting like a rosemary or some kind of thing. I'm very surprised that I'm enjoying the lambic more than the Gose. But as with all beer, down the hatch. A little bit more difficult to chug that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so recap now. Gose can be made relatively quickly, whereas Gueze takes at least 3 years and can be longer. I mean, just minimum is 3. A Gueze is truly spontaneously fermented, i.e., whatever's in the air, which is why being in that particular region of Belgium is so important, because, well, the yeast outside here ain't making no lambic, I give you that. These guys are inoculated with some form of lactobacillus. The Gose, traditionally brewed coriander and salt, lots of adjuncts, or at least some adjuncts. Not with Gueze, no spices, just beer. Fermented with spiders, dead spider carcasses or whatever. A Gueze is aged in barrels. A Gose is not. Have you ever seen what it looks like above the fooders in some of those like Belgian places? It's a joke, but it's not really a joke. A Gueze is aged in barrels. Gose is not. A Gueze is wonderfully funky and tart, which we just experienced. All right, and where Gose is more subtle acidity, that's for sure. But I mean, wow. 2 things that I thought were the same beer, didn't even know there were 2 beers. I could not have tasted 2 more wildly different things. So that's fucked up.
That is fucked up.
So fucked up. We are going to be after a couple more of these. See you next week.